Oh wow, we are live for real. Welcome to the Chicken Box, everybody. We backstage. We still in the glow. Oh my goodness gracious! It is inauguration week in Maryland. I don't know if you've seen the news, but it is going down. It went down, and everybody is still in the glow. Even feet hurt and everything for those who went to the ball and to all of the other events. Welcome to the Chicken Box. I'm your host, co-host Kevin Impeccable Peck, along with some special guests today. Miss Alexis Taylor, how are you? Joining us.
I am well. I still have the glow. I'm still feeling the excitement from yesterday's inauguration and the ball. So yes, I am well. Thank you for having me on today.
Listen, your titles elevate so much. What is your official title? Can you let everybody know at the Afro?
Yes, I am honored to be the managing editor of the Afro American newspapers. That change came at the top of the year, and I am ready to get to work and just be in the community, talking to people and recording this, putting it on record for our archives.
If you haven't checked out the Afro and we just popped up on your thread, we are the oldest black business in Maryland, 130 years old and still going strong. Afro.com, the first to endorse, yes, the new governor and lieutenant governor, uh, Wes Moore and Aruna Miller. Congratulations again. We were the first. We stepped out there when no one else believed in the media or whoever else wanted to give that big endorsement. We did it. But anyway, we've been inspiring, educating, and informing for over 130 years. Welcome to the show. Courtney, reporting from Chicago. How are you this morning, afternoon?
I am blessed and I'm grateful to be here. And I'm feeling empowered. I saw all of the inauguration videos and photos online. And yeah, today is just a great day.
Yeah, well, we're
How
going
are
to
you?
share some photos. I'm doing fantastic. If you're listening in and you have some photos from last night, we'll put in the thread who you can send it to real quick, and we will try to show them before the night's over. We're just wrapping up a wonderful week of inaugural, all kinds of activities. And Dr. Draper, our own CEO, I know you went to a lot of events. I saw your schedule. I peeped at your schedule. And how are you this inaugural week? You're on mute.
Well, I'm on mute, but I'm off mute. Okay, now, but I'm wonderful. I'm feeling empowered and excited and energized. What other E word can I find? But anyway, it's been a wonderful week. We started off with Governor Moore's service, worship service of faith and community, which was wonderful on Sunday. So we were there along with gospel artist Whitley Phipps and Yolanda Adams and J.J. Harrison and Anthony Brown and therapy. But what was so amazing about that, I know we're going to get into all that happened last night with the 11,000 people that came to the gala. I was one, right? 11,000 people. But on Sunday, there were prayers from at least 12 to 15 different faith traditions, all participating in this ecumenical worship service. There were um, Indian tribal, expressions. There were children singing and from different, ethnicities. It was just a microcosm of Maryland and a testimony to how Wes Moore is and how he has promised to govern, leaving no one behind. So that was on Sunday, even before we get to what happened last night and the impact of having, people keep saying the first African American governor for Maryland. That's cool. And the third in the United States. But Wes Moore said in his speech, he's not all that hyped about being first as he is about just making the impact that he's going to make. So excited, and I still have my Wes Moore inaugural button. I got a T-shirt too. Oh, I don't know where my mug is. I got a mug someplace too. A whole lot of things. But to those who are watching, welcome to the Chicken Box. If you went last night or to any of the events celebrating the inauguration of Wes Moore and Aruna Miller, as Impeccable said, we want your photos. And so you can email your photos to Atkinson at afro.com. That's our wonderful producer and she's going to be happy to post. So that's it, impeccable.
So
I'm
look, this is
so
Black People versus inauguration of. We were going to say it's versus governors, but we're going to stay right here in Maryland, and we're going to see the impact. I don't know if everybody got a chance to watch it. Alexis, were you there on site yesterday during the actual swearing in?
I was. So I will say that the swearing in ceremony happened inside of the Senate room in the State House. And so that actually took place behind closed doors. We shared the coverage from Maryland Public Television on our sites because they were one of the, I was told they were the only media allowed inside of that Senate room. And so they are wonderful partners. Thank you for that coverage, MPT. But they were the only ones who were allowed actually inside of the room. And so that's why they had that public ceremony for the actual crowds who gathered and packed out that space to see the first Black governor of Maryland. That's why they had that public ceremony outside for the crowds and the people who wanted to see Wes Moore take office.
So if you've
So
never been to an inauguration before of any type, what's the vibe? I mean, how's the flow? Tell us about it.
it was when we first arrived. I was there with Miss Tashi McQueen. She was right there by my side every step of the way, helping us get coverage. So thank you, Miss McQueen. But when we first arrived, it was just a beautiful sense of unity, a sense of belonging. And, I'm just realizing that the word is belonging, but the word really is belonging. I've been to Annapolis before. I was almost moved to tears because that was one of my first assignments was to go to Annapolis. I was sent to cover to get coverage of when Maryland was turning over the death penalty. And one of my first assignments was to go and hear Benjamin Jealous talk and advocate for that. And to be back 11 years later, it was a different feel. You felt like you belonged there. And I think that's what Wes Moore will bring with him to this office. It will truly be the people's house, just like it was the people's ball last night. It's not just about him and his power and his authority. He is welcoming and he is all inclusive. And I loved what he said last night in his speech to the people who were at the People's Ball, that he is a governor not only for the over 1.2 million people who voted for him in Maryland, he's the governor of the people who didn't vote for him as well. And so, it was beautiful at inauguration to see those crowds there. The weather was beautiful. It wasn't too cold. The wind kind of kicked up, but it was beautiful. I didn't know that I was going to be so close to Miss Oprah Winfrey. So that was a nice surprise. I was actually seeing her and hearing her speech and hearing how Wes Moore called her, Governor Wes Moore called her. I'm going to use it every chance I get. He called her on January 6th, 2021. And she said that she is looking at the media coverage on the TV, seeing the capital, the nation's capital, be overrun. And Governor Wes Moore is on her phone, not governor at the time, but he calls her phone and he says, I want to run for this seat. And she's like, in this chaos, in this climate. And he was firm. Yes, this is the time to make the change. And so it was beautiful to see him take the office yesterday.
right. And where I was sitting at the inauguration ceremonies, I was up front as well. And First Lady Dawn Moore's family, some of her family members were behind me. So, and you could tell because the way they were talking about the kids, I remember when they were this and that, and they called her Donnie, and they were saying, go Donnie, we see you up there, so those were either family members or people who knew her well. And you're right, Alexis, it was electric. I mean, people from Yale, literally to jail, as we heard in the comments, they were there. People were there with their Wes Moore t-shirts. They were there with their three-piece business suits. They were there with their sneakers. They were there with their high heels. They were there with their jean jackets. They were there with their furs. I mean, they were just.
Where are you now? We were at the inauguration. Are you going back and forth for me?
I'm at the
you
inauguration now. Now.
Oh, they
I'm
were
not,
there at the inauguration with all of this stuff too,
yeah,
right?
they were there in the inauguration. So I took the campaign committee, for anybody who wanted to sign up, provided free bus service from around the state, I believe. But I took a bus from Baltimore City, and so you took the bus to the drop. They dropped us off right there near the ceremony, but then we had to go to the Naval Yard at the end. But anyway, so a whole bunch of folks, there were bus loads of people that invaded Annapolis. People brought their children. People came on walkers. People were in wheelchairs. People made it any kind of way they could make it. People went all day, without eating for for example. I mean, they were just there hanging on every word, screaming for Oprah, talking back to Governor Moore while he was giving his speech. And I think we have some pictures from the actual inauguration. Taryn, do we have some pictures from the inauguration itself? I think I sent you a couple of pictures. I don't know if Taryn, are you ready to show any of those yet? She might
Taryn's
not.
our producer backstage. They're like, we do not see Taryn. Anyway,
she's there. Here she
okay.
comes. So Taryn, are you ready to any of those?
I'm making the presentation now. So people are sending me pictures as we're talking. So I'm adding them in, and I'll put them up on the screen very soon.
Okay, the pictures are coming. The pictures are coming, and so we have pictures of the swearing in, and I think a real meaningful point for me was when First Lady Dawn Moore bought Frederick Douglass's Bible. So there were two Bibles present. It was Frederick Douglass's Bible. He's a native Marylander. Well, not native Maryland, native of of the area, Washington. And then there was her, Governor Moore's grandfather's Bible, who was a preacher. I think it was I can get the facts in a minute. But when she carried Frederick Douglass's Bible for him to take the oath of office, wow, was that was a real filling moment. Think about the history, and there were people of all ages, as I've already said, but people of all races, all ethnicities. It was beautiful to see. People were patient. They really were. With all that crowd, people were patient, and people were just, I think, inspired just by the moment. So that's inside. That's inside the State House. And so I don't know, Alexis or Courtney, Impeccable, maybe for that first one, I'm wondering if they do it. This is a speculation on my part. If they do it first on the inside, because there's something in the state charter or constitution that says you have to do it at exactly noon on a particular day, because the same ceremony happened outside. There were the same words, but that's from inside of the State House. And then they came through that door. And by the way, I just want to mention there are two African-American designers that worked with First Lady and Governor Wes Moore right here from Baltimore, who helped them to get that beautiful wardrobe together.
Thanks for zooming in. Is the governor throwing up the alpha sign?
He might be.
Look at him. Look at him. Yeah.
He might be. He's a proud alpha man.
All you members of Alpha Phi Alpha, it looks like he's throwing y'all the sign up as he comes down. Like, boom. If you just tuned in, this is the Chicken Box. We're living in the glow of Black people versus the inauguration and our new governor. And it's a historic event. Yeah, we want to say the first Black, but he is the first Black.
For Maryland,
absolutely. And we don't want to hammer it home like so much, be great and happen to be Black, but be great and Black today. This is the day where you're great and Black, and you appeal to everybody. And the wonderful thing about understanding people's differences is that you can appreciate people's differences and still love them. And a lot of times you'll see a person who tries to be another race when they're a different race.
Right. That's right. And we should know our history. At another Governor Wes Moore, I got to say that too, Alexa. I give him his props. Governor Wes Moore event on Tuesday night, because Afro was a sponsor. We were the media sponsor uh, for the inauguration festivities. And Tuesday night there was a sponsors reception, and the second Black man to be elected governor of a state, Governor Deval Patrick, was there, and he was elected governor of Massachusetts in 2007. Somebody can fact check me. I think it was 2007. But he introduced Governor Wes, and he said at that time he quoted the first elected Black governor, Governor Doug Wilder, L. Douglas Wilder, who was first. He was the governor of Virginia. I remember when he was elected governor back in 1990, I want to say. And Governor Wilder's remarks was something like this. So Wilder served one term, Patrick served two. Governor Wilder said, "It's no good being first if there's not a second."
Boom. If you just tuned in, this is the Chicken Box, and everybody didn't get a chance to make it, but everybody could experience it. And if you missed it and you were in Maryland, shame on you. Anyway, if you missed it, it's on YouTube. All right, go to YouTube and watch the inauguration, because this was a legendary mark of excellence in history. People, even if you're not from here, go watch it. Watch how this man moves. I don't want to be super prophetic, but he's got the swag beyond Obama. I know that sounds crazy, but yes, he has the swag above Obama. And if you just watch how he's moving and how he's bringing the whole state together, and to be the number one vote getter in the state, and to have the biggest turnout. We didn't even get to the inaugural ball yet, but we're gonna get there. But
We haven't gotten it. Yeah, but we look back down at the inauguration on yesterday. A lady in front of me waiting for the shuttle bus, and things were so well organized. I mean, kudos to the inaugural committee. Whoever you all are, I hope you're watching. Kudos to you. There was a lady in front of me who was a member of the church where the service was on Sunday, and she said she was literally exhausted, so she didn't think she was going to come for the inauguration yesterday. But her 16-year-old son said to her, "Mom, this is history, and I want to go. I need to be there. I want to be able to tell my children that I was in Annapolis, Maryland, when Wes Moore was inaugurated as governor." And there's another picture of he and his son. That's from last night, I think. I think that's the last night. All right, go ahead, Impeccable.
Oh no, I just wanted to say, look, he was having a fantastic time. It was so, like, they sold out so fast. I think the first tickets were $1,000, and they sold over 5,000 that they opened another room upstairs. So it was so many people at the ball. These are pictures.
Well, hold tight, Impeccable. There's Keenan Jeter, by the way, back there with him. You were asking about Keenan. There he is.
Oh, I was right near him.
There he is. Okay, go ahead.
So anyway, I wanted to talk to Courtney, who may have been tuning in from another state, and just, what were your feelings, or what were you thinking as all of this took place this week?
Yeah, I also watched Alexis's and like Tashi's coverage from it, and just like hearing you guys' like excitement and like just witnessing it, I felt like it was so empowering. Like even though I wasn't in person to be a part of like this historical moment, like just I felt the energy like through the screen. Like everyone just seemed so excited, and like it was amazing. I wish that I could have been there, but yeah, I would love to like in the future. But yeah, the energy was there, and I'm so glad that we as Black people like showed up and supported. Like we were out there in numbers, so that was amazing to see.
Absolutely. I mean, the energy was everything. If you just tuned in, we're talking about yesterday's inauguration. We're talking about the ball. We're talking about all of the things of excellence that happened. And this is live at this picture is on stage in one of the stages. And if you walked around, just like you see these ladies, and I think it's a gentleman on there too, dressed in this Indian. I don't even know what to not costume, but authentic wardrobe. I might be saying it wrong, but Alexis, help me out. You shaking your head.
No, it was their authentic wardrobe, because and I think it's just so important to say, part of why people are so excited here is because this was just it has been such an historic month, because we do have Aruna Miller as our lieutenant governor, and she is of Indian heritage. And so Wes Moore spoke to that when he was sworn in and giving his speech as governor. He talked about how her mother and his mother came to the United States, and how there was something to be said about these women moving to a country, uprooting their whole lives, moving to this country and bringing their culture and instilling it in their children still. But to see those children go on and to now hold two of the highest offices in the state. And so they were true to their cultures. I will say, yeah, they were true to their culture. We had groups who were performing these dances.
And that's Maxwell. He looks like he did a mix of everything. Right? He put something on it. He's black and Indian at the same time.
Listen, culture was the word of the night. Okay, everything was for the culture. Every culture was
Chris Tucker
represented.
right there popped
Yep.
up on the stage and addressed the crowd. I mean, it was the who's who in Hollywood and music and art. I mean, the beautiful thing about it is Black excellence was definitely in the building, right? But you got to see Indian excellence. I mean, like you saw the finest Indian wardrobe and garment, and it was different. I wasn't going to say weird, but it was different because it's like you're in the hallway, walking through the halls of the convention center, and but it was all people of color pretty much, and the minority seemed to be when you saw a white person. I know it sounds crazy, but it was that kind of. It was probably a flip script as far as inaugurations go, right? You saw
Yeah, but there were a lot of people of all races there.
all
And
race
one
there,
thing,
but I'm saying I
yeah,
saw more of
the other thing, there were more African Americans there. But I think,
right.
and also I felt this vibe that when the music played, regardless, I mean, that was a unifier. You know, I say music is a universal language. It was a unifier. People, young and a lot of, Courtney, your generation was rocking it.
What gen is she
Alexis,
again? Z.
Alexis, yeah, Courtney's a Gen Z. Alexis, are you millennial or Gen Z?
I believe I'm millennial, even
Yeah.
though I hate to say it out loud. Yes, I am millennial.
I thought you're an exceptional millennial, but the Gen Zers and millennials were in the house looking good. I mean, just dressed, like they said, to the nines, but enjoying themselves. So it was just such a great cross section of races and ages and economics and you name it. It was in the house last night at the People's Ball. And I understand, impeccable, that the Moors even did a little dancing themselves on stage. You want to tell us a little bit about that?
Well, I mean the entertainment was great. Before that, I had found a picture. Can you guys see this? Or no. Let me see if I can share it. Of our own archivist.
Oh, it's
I mean,
Savannah.
I mean, the CEO. I can't remember everybody's title, but
She's executive director of Afro Charities.
executive director of Afro Charities. She snuck up on me in the crowd. As you can see, it's people of all that were just there, right? And they were just having a good time. But uh the entertainment was fantastic. You had Raheem Devon, you had Maxwell, and then of course you had Drew Hill, Baltimore's own, uh, to represent. And so the Moors were downstairs in Maxwell's concert, and then Drew Hill was performing upstairs, and then all of a sudden they popped up. They popped up on stage. Now that you bring it up, let me see if I can pull up a
You got a
file,
video?
a video, yeah, and see if we can't just play a little bit of clip. I mean, it was kind of like you typically don't interrupt the artist right in the middle of a performance, but I think that's kind of what happened.
All right.
Can y'all hear that?
Yeah.
Hold on. So,
Welcome to the stage, the one and only Stola.
so that's Aruna Miller, David Miller, all of the Moors, and that's Gola from Drew Hill. All of a sudden, you're gonna find out Wes Moore. I think he's part of the group. You see him in the back. He's starting to dance.
There he is.
Oh, look at him. He's stepping out. There he goes. He can't contain himself. All right, listen to him. There he goes. Oh, he's in the front. Wes Moore's out. And he's in the front of the stage doing it. Look at him. So Wes, he ended the night, I guess, on stage.
We need to post that video on afro.com. That is
performing
amazing.
with Drew Hill on the stage. And the kids were out there and they were hanging, and the first lady was out there. It was, it was a party. It turned into, the celebration just kept going up and up and up on another level all over. It was no fights. I heard it was a little fight when Cisco threw his jacket and two women were pulling it back and forth to see who gets the jacket. But other than that, I didn't hear about any incidents. I didn't see nobody fall down any steps. I'm not saying that somebody got so lit that they fell, but I didn't personally. Alexis, how about yourself?
No, and the funny thing is, when he threw that jacket into the crowd, I said, let me step out the way, because I already knew there was going to be a tug of war for that jacket. But no, I mean, it was all love. I mean, I didn't see or hear anything but people excited to be in the building. The People's Ball took place in the Baltimore Convention Center downtown Baltimore. And it was just a feeling of unity. I mean, people were speaking with each other, complimenting each other. Girl, your dress is beautiful. I love your shoes. Your hair looks good. Like, it was just a feeling of one big family that deserved to celebrate this phenomenal night. So yeah, there were no incidents or arguments that I saw. And I will say, going back to the video you just played, and your statement about him being better than Obama, if people are going to, be on the fence about that comment, that video right there proves one way he was already a step ahead of Obama. Okay, y'all know that man was off beat for all 8 years. So
Wait a minute. Y'all be talking about my forever president. No.
I love President Obama, but I think Wes Moore got him on the dance moves.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. On the dance moves, no doubt about it. But I do think that Governor Wes Moore, besides having a really, really big task to fulfill all of the things that he wants to do, I do think that he presents as a person who's going to go far in, I don't think that the governor's house is his stop. So I'm going to step out on a limb and say that I think that he's going to run for president in 2028. I think that he's going to do well this first term. And I think that, what is this? He got elected in 22. I think he'll get reelected in 26, but not serve out the whole term. Or he won't run in 26, and he'll throw his hat in the ring even before that, so he's not distracted, and will declare his intent to run for the president of the United States. That's my sense. He's a galvanizer of people from different backgrounds. So, but he's laid out I think he's laid out, and you all can weigh in on this, one of the most ambitious visions that I've ever seen a politician do. Because his thing is, we can do this and this. We can have this and this. And so and he's put it all out there.
Let's
And he's
speak on that 1 second, because I've been working on next level thinking for this 2023, and Dr. Dre, I like how you said he can do this and that, right? And when you, I don't know what you believe in out there, but when you believe that it's a God that has unlimited resources, right? A lot of times the limitations that are set are, you set them on yourself. Think about that for a second. The limitations, whatever they are in your life, are pretty much set because you, in your mind, I don't care, like say you get in your first car and you say I can handle a $200 car payment. And then when another car payment comes, it's 400, and you don't think you can handle it. But as soon as you say in your mind you can handle it, think about it. The people are, and I'm just using the car as an example. You don't pay the same payment that you got your first car on, but it was still able to happen, right?
Mhm.
So God that has unlimited resources, you can do this and that and this and that.
Well, here's what he said. Here's what he said.
What did he say? I was just telling you what God
said, and it lines up to what God says. And Wes Moore's not ashamed of his faith either. We haven't even talked about that part. But he said, and these are his words: we do not have to choose. One thing about being in the media, we get an embargoed copy of his remarks, his speech, before he makes it.
What?
And I followed along what he said yesterday and last night. And Alexis, he stayed pretty true to script. So what he said was, we do not have to choose between a safe state and a just state. Maryland can and will be both. We will protect our Chesapeake Bay and address the toxic air pollution that chokes our cities. And we will put Maryland on track to generate 100% clean energy. So he says, he talks about students, he talks about housing, he talks about crime, he talks about lifting people up, that you don't have to push people down to lift somebody else up. And that, this no one left behind theme has just stuck. So he has all of that energy around that, and his message has been consistent. That's one thing, how sometimes with politicians, well, people say Wes Moore's not a politician. He's not. He's never been elected to public office. He's clearly a politician. He's clearly all right. So we've got some videos with them with family and the crowd dancing. We may look at that in a moment as well. And so, as we know, he can relate to people, and he stops and talks to everybody.
Absolutely. Let me give you a bird's eye view, because I mean, some of you guys see me on the chicken box, but then others know, and then others don't know. Okay, for 25 plus years, I've been managing the legendary group Drew Hill, and also the Afro American newspaper is part of my family's business. Okay, some of you know, some are surprised, some are like, I knew that. Anyway, from a bird's eye view of being invited as an artist to be a part of this inaugural experience was just phenomenal, just for the ask. And we were very grateful and thankful for the ask. But Governor Wes Moore wanted to meet with all of the artists. So even though it didn't start to 7:30 and we didn't go into 9:30 to 9:50, we were in the building before 6 p.m. All artists, because it's the front doors that most of the public come in, but all of the artists and all kind of dignitaries come in through the back. You usually go up a service elevator. One of the service elevators were broken, and so it was going to be a bottleneck. So they wanted to get all of the talent in early, and to make sure, and just to say how he stops and takes time with everybody. When we met with him, it wasn't a rushed, like take a picture and hurry up and get out of here. He dapped everybody up like we had known each other. Like when he hugged me, I felt like we were like cousins. You know what I mean?
He gets the best hugs. He gets the best
like,
hugs.
you know what I mean? I was like, man, I was watching, when Bishop, his bishop
Hickman,
Dante said the prayer. I said, I'm not gonna cry. Them little tears just came down as you think about Frederick Douglass, and you think about Thurgood Marshall, and you think about your grandparents and all of the soldiers and the men and women who have just been there through everything through all these years, and then you see that moment, just the kind of the same moment when you saw Obama become president. It felt like that all over again. And he basically, until I said, "Hey man, let's line up and take a picture," he was gonna talk all night, I thought. In the room, he was saying, "Oh, how much he loves Drew Hill and blah blah blah." It seemed like he knew one of the members, Nokia, like they had a connection from back 10, 12, 15 years ago. So it just, and then, David Miller and Lieutenant Governor Aruna Miller, they were in there. Their daughters were in there with their significant others. This was all a special private room just for him to meet with all of the artists, and everybody was just, it was just like all love. And then one guy just said, "Yeah, I was served on something," and he listened to the guy's whole story, and I'm standing right next to him, and he's listening to the whole story, and it just tells you about his character, the type of person that he is. You know what I mean? If you know a standoffish type of person when you're around him, who are just being phony, but you got to think he shook hands and kissed babies all day long. You guys, he shook hands and kissed babies. I think this is another angle from him coming on stage with Drew Hill and somebody giving him a mic. I think Craig Talley, who was on the side of the behind the scenes, one of the Afro's advertising media consultants. If you need to advertise in the Afro, call Craig. Everybody was there. Look at his son. His son was like, he was like, "Come on and dance." Like, no, 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 no. So that's another angle of the same clip that we showed before. Mrs. Moore is in there too. Look at her. Dawn, as her family calls her, Donnie, that we secretly found out during the inauguration. But it was a good time had by all. Taryn, you can take that down. And no, I was just saying that testament. He was popping in behind people. He was taking selfies. I mean, he was kind of doing all kinds of things that you didn't expect would happen, with a person who has just been elected governor. I mean, even me and my wife, we jumped in. Let me see if I have this picture. You know me. I had to put on the glasses so they wouldn't mistake me for Wes Moore. I'm just kidding, but I did. I did say I'm his bald-headed cousin. All right. So no. So as I was saying, we were backstage. We just were moving all around, and I was running into. I'm just like everybody. I saw him. I don't know if you guys know Mark Barnes, who owns the park in Washington D.C., and he used to own the club Love. Indeed, one of the biggest promoters. It was just people from everywhere.
So impeccable. I'm sure Alexis wants your behind the scenes pics, because we're going to do lots and lots and lots of coverage, and love the fact that, let me invite our readers and listeners and viewers again today. If you have pictures that you've sent some to our producer, that's great. If you find some later, or you have some, send them to editor@afro.com. Send them to editor@afro.com, please. So we want to be as inclusive as we can be as well with all of the coverage. And if it doesn't get into the print edition, it'll be posted on afro.com, probably on afro.com anyway. But we'll have it in both. So that's exciting to just see how many people were there. As Alexis said, they were looking great, sounding great. And so we had this party, right, last night to culminate this week of inaugural activities. And then I think they did something else. Did they do something today, Alexis? No, yes. What did they do yesterday morning?
So yesterday morning, they had a wreath laying ceremony, which was not too far away from the State House. And so this was, excuse me, it was a wreath laying ceremony. And during this ceremony, Wes Moore was paying homage to the slaves who were brought here to Maryland, to those very docks. If you go to Annapolis, you'll see the history and the homage that they've paid to the ancestors of Alex Haley. It was tied to Kunta Kinte, and so they talked about those men. They talked about that history, because a lot of Maryland, there's a lot of rich history here, and we know that Black history doesn't start when we were slaves, but for people here in Maryland, as far back as they can trace their lineage, it leads to these docks in Maryland. And so it was just beautiful to see that wreath laying ceremony. It was beautiful to have a governor who recognized those lives, who recognized he to say those names, in a way. And he also talked about that. He referenced it inside of his speech when he came out and did the ceremony in front of the people, the swearing in. He talked about how in Annapolis, we're standing in front of a state house that was built by slaves. And so he absolutely had to pay honor to them as the first Black governor. It is absolutely, I'm sure, a dream realized for those people who were enslaved here in Maryland and lived their whole life. Their children lived their whole life, their grandchildren, these people were enslaved here for centuries. And to see the first Black governor, to have a Black man head of state, it was beautiful to see that arc of progress.
Absolutely. Listen, this has been an amazing conversation, and I want to just kind of go around the horn real quick and kind of get on the box. And I know it's early, and we don't always have to just stay to an hour just to be talking. You know what I mean? But it is so much great. I like to keep it with the young with my kids. It's such a great vibe. Like the vibe right now in Maryland and Baltimore, it's off the hook. You know what I mean? It's just a wonderful glow, I think, for all of Maryland. Like you said, from Deep Creek to Landover to to Baltimore to the Howard County, the Harford County, the Cecil County. Listen, I can't remember all the counties. You had to learn them in school, but all the counties in Maryland are in the glow at the moment of just the history that everybody is still really participating in, because it's still really just getting started, and we just are seeing just the beginning of the term of what the Moore Miller team is going to do, along with the great people of Maryland. So let's go and let's get on the box, and let's just say our final, or whatever's on your heart. We'll start with you, Courtney. What's on your heart about Black people versus inauguration? The new we'll just call it the new governors.
I just want to say, congratulations again to Governor Wes Moore and his family and his team. Just experiencing and witnessing this history is amazing, because I was in 5th grade when Obama got elected. So I was so young. I knew what was going on, but I didn't feel it like how I feel it now. So this is truly, I'm going to say, a vibe to experience. And I'm so excited to see what he's going to do in the future. Like Dr. Draper mentioned, if he does run for president, I feel like that is going to be the biggest thing in history. I hope that does happen, but this is a monumental moment. And I've seen the comments on Facebook, the reactions, and everyone is just going nuts right now. This is truly a moment in history.
Absolutely. Thank you for getting on the box. Fun fact, our producer just posted that Governor Moore was an intern for Mayor Kirk Smoke, the first elected Black mayor of Baltimore. I think the actual first Black mayor was
Clarence Du Burns.
Clarence Du Burns, right? Who was I forgot what his position was when he got city council president, right?
When you live long enough, sometimes you can remember those things. Yeah, he was the city council president.
I mean, something happened with the mayor, and the city council president is next in line if something happens with the mayor in the city, and so Mayor Du Burns kind of got it by default. But the first elected Black mayor was Mayor Kirk Smoke. So, Governor Wes Moore. Everybody has to get used to saying that. Governor Wes Moore, intern for back in the day. All right, we're moving around the horn. Dr. Draper, you on the box.
So I don't know how much more to really say about this historic election. It was historic. A lot of people voted for Governor Wes Moore, and we are proud of having him as our governor. You know, yes, he is the first Black governor, but as our governor, he brings so much energy. I mean, he hit the ground running. I just got a alert of something that he's already he's he's not didn't take a day off. He went to work this morning while some folk rolled over from last night and didn't quite make it yet. But he went to work this morning as he's promised to do. Not only is he high energy and very personable, but if you listen to him, he's also a student. He's a student of history. He's able to read people as well, and he is a student around those things that he may not be as familiar with. And like most good leaders, he has surrounded himself with people who are experienced in those areas that he may not necessarily have that experience. But when you look at his entire resume, you have to say that he is the right person for this position at this time. Some people have criticized him because he was on high-powered boards, because he's a millionaire. You don't hear that kind of criticism coming when other people are elected to these high positions. You know, so what? He's a millionaire. Amen. That means he knows how to be a millionaire, but he says he also knows what it feels like to have handcuffs. So I'm really excited about partnering with him. One of the promises that he's made, and this is not a secret, is to really uplift small businesses. Now you've got to know small businesses are, I'm not talking about just micro businesses, even though those are small businesses. But if you have under, I don't know, I think whatever it is, 200 employees, or don't y'all look it up, but it's still a small business. So he wants to uplift small businesses. So we're excited about his commitment to that and commitment to make this he said Maryland is going to compete nationally. This is not just about the small, and Maryland, you know, compared to other states, Maryland is considered to be a small state geographically, but Maryland is going to rise to the top as a large state in a whole lot of areas because of the leadership of Wes Moore. And so I'm excited about Governor Moore's tenure. I think he's going to stay approachable and accessible throughout his tenure as governor. I don't see him changing midstream because this is who he is. And we certainly are anticipating great things from him and are proud. And when he sees me, he doesn't forget. He says, I remember that the Afro, we were the only, not the first, the only media to endorse him in the primary.
Boom.
And he does not forget. And as you all know, he also came on the chicken box during his campaign. And so hopefully we'll have him back again. So I'm off the box, and I think it's a great day for Maryland, great day for the United States as well.
All right, Brother Tally says when the governor started, he had less than 1% chance to win. Like John Murphy, who started a newspaper, when less than 3% of his constituency could actually read. So when you have a vision, God will give you the provision. Let's go.
Thank you, Craig Tally. But let me say a little bit about that too. Everybody who says they're measuring what we're doing, they don't really know. But anyway.
So don't try to measure me. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, if you just tuned in, this is the chicken box, which if you're from Baltimore, you know what it is. 4 wings and fries, little half and half, you know, some hot sauce, salt, pepper, ketchup, whatever you like on it. But here at the Afro, powered by the Afro, the oldest Black business in Maryland, is where we get to speak our truth. Is where you get on the box. We don't have to agree with you. And you know what? Stop trying to agree with everybody. You always think that you have to agree. You can agree to disagree. You don't have to agree on everybody's view, what they wear, what perfume, what church they go to, who they believe in. You don't have to agree. Just make sure you agree with what you believe in. Okay.
Right. I want to say one more thing too before you to the next person. So we set the record straight. Clarence DuBurns became mayor of Baltimore City, not because something negative happened, but because then Mayor Donald Schaefer was elevated to the position of governor. So anyway, boom, there you have it.
There you go. History, just in case when they look back in these archives and fact check, there it is. Facts have been checked. I'm going to get on the box. I'm going to let our new, I forgot your title already. I'm sorry.
Managing editor, man.
Our new managing editor. Goodness gracious, Alexis. I'm going to have you put it by your name next time. Go last because we're just so proud of her. But when I think about the day, in history yesterday, I just feel that it just marks the start of change in our state. And, Maryland being a small state geographically, we've had a lot of powerful African Americans who live in the state. I mean, some of the counties, I think PG County used to have the wealthiest African Americans in the country. And I think it's now Cecil County, or so whatever borders on PG, look it up. They just surpassed PG County, and even Montgomery County was one of the richest counties overall, not for Black, but just period in the country. So it is a lot of power and prosperity in this state, but it has not always gone to everybody. And so I think this opens up a chance for everybody to at least know that they can go wherever they want to go. The sky is the limit, right? The only limit is the one that you set on your mind. So we are so happy for the new Moore Miller team and how they're going to lead. But what are you going to do personally? Because they're going to sit up there and they can make some policies and they can help some things that change in the community. But what personally are you going to commit to do this year to help your neighborhood be better, to help your community be better? If you have kids, are you going to get involved? Are you just going to talk about the school system, or are you going to go to a PTA meeting this year? I mean, what are you going to do? How are you going to play a role, or are you just going to impact the person next to you? So they can set the vision of the state, but you still have to have a vision for yourself and how you're going to live and lead. So that's what I take away from it. I take away that it inspires others to help others. So if everybody helps somebody, everybody will be good, right? So I'm off the box. Lexus Taylor, you are on the box.
All right, I will get on my first time as managing editor. But for me, this whole week was about change coming to Maryland. We started off with the inauguration of the first comptroller of Maryland, Brooke Learman. Watching that inauguration, the inaugurations that happened before our first Black Attorney General, Anthony Brown. I mean, to end this season of inaugurations, to me, I'm saying the end, because how much higher can you go? We have our Black governor in office, but to close out this season of inaugurations for me, it was just beautiful. I'm a history nerd. I love to record things, put things on record so people know our history, so people can feel what it was like to be there in person. And I really hope that that's what we did with our coverage. I hope people felt like they were outside of the State House with us. I hope people felt like they were at the inaugural, the People's Ball last night with us, because for me, it's just about recording it for history. But on the topic of Wes Moore, I do think that, again, change has come to Maryland with his policies that he wants to put in place. I spoke with him the night after his election win last year, and we talked about what he plans for these first 100 days in office. And he's talking about his education policy. I love that he wants to get up and running with this service year option for graduating high school seniors. I love that he has the background that he has. He doesn't have this path to success that people think you have to have. He didn't go straight to a 4-year university. He didn't have parents who had money. He talks about his 2-year college experience. And he talks about, how there are multiple ways to success. Trade schools are just as good as following that 4-year degree. And so it was just beautiful to see him talk about all of the change that he plans to bring to Maryland. Me personally, I am most interested in how he's going to close this racial wealth gap. He's talked a lot about the equality issues within pay between Black employees and Black families and their counterparts of other races. So I'm just excited to see what he's going to do in office. I get the feeling that he is a man of action, not one just of word and talk. And we can tell that from today. He already got to work just as he promised yesterday. And so I'm just excited to see him get in office. I'm excited to see his team take their positions, Lieutenant Governor Aruna Miller. And I truly believe that he will repair this relationship between the top state officials and Baltimore City leadership. He's going to repair those relationships. I'm not saying they're broken. The leaders of Baltimore City are personally telling me that they're broken. Everyone from Mayor Brandon Scott to Commissioner Harrison have said that they are really looking forward to working with Wes Moore, Governor Wes Moore, in this role. And so I'm excited to see the change that's come to Maryland and how it will progress as we move through his tenure in office.
Absolutely. Wow. This has been a wonderful day. We're in a good vibe, a good glow. Everybody have a wonderful day. If you haven't smiled today, now's the time to do it. It makes you feel better. And you know what I always.
I'm sorry, Impeccable.
Go ahead.
One
Come on,
second.
jump in. Jump in.
Just I don't mean to cut you off, but I will say, if you haven't smiled, my mom called me this morning and said what gave her the most joy of the day are all of the moments between Wes Moore and his son yesterday. And in particular, yesterday when Governor Wes Moore was being sworn in, how James went to put his hand on the Bible along with his father. And First Lady Dawn Moore had to say, no, just your daddy this time. And so if you haven't smiled, there are so many moments from yesterday, but the relationship between this man and his son, this man and his children and his family, if that doesn't bring a smile to your face, you need to look at more of our coverage.
Facts. And my other note was call a senior today because they want to hear from you. They miss you and they love talking. Okay. Don't text them. They don't like texting that much. Call and say hello, my younger generation who thinks it's always cool to say happy birthday to the senior just on the text. Anyway, that's for another chicken box. We can get into that one. So until next time, God willing, we hope to see you again every Thursday at noon on the chicken box. Go to afro.com, get a subscription, a digital subscription, or a legacy paper that you can have, hold, and touch like the seniors started to do back in the 1800s. And we're still cranking these papers out, as well as we're a cutting edge, to the minute coverage on afro.com. Check us out. People say, how'd y'all get that domain? Matter of fact, we had that domain. That's why we're fact checking before USA Today had theirs.
Well, and not only that, Impeccable, when people get a legacy edition, the digital comes along with it as a bonus. So if you say, okay, I'm going to get a subscription to the Afro for $100 a year for the entire year, all 52 issues, we will mail it to you. That means that we're taking a little bit of loss if you all have looked at postage rates lately. But you can give that to somebody and you can keep the digital or vice versa. You can't beat that. You get the digital only for $40 a year, but why not get the digital and the legacy edition and gift one of those to somebody else? That's doing a good deed for the day. And somebody said to me that the digital divide is real, and there are still lots of people that even if they have a cell phone, it does not allow them to do a lot of things on the internet. They can just receive a call or make an emergency call on it. So there you have it, afro.com.
And that's the ask, and we're going to always ask because we want to stay Black owned, Black operated, and we want to be able to afford beautiful young talent like Courtney and Alexis as we bring them in to this new media world when other doors will say no. The Afro will be always saying yes. So thank you for your support. Go to afro.com and have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.